What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I was thinking, now that we have this awesome new awning, that we need some lighting underneath here. And I already have the Prinsu style roof rack that I built like a year ago. If you haven't seen that video, definitely go check it out. But I was thinking it would be really fun to replicate the Prinsu Ridgeline handles, and that way we could add some little pod lights inside those to give us some scene lighting underneath here. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do in this video. We're gonna replicate the Prinsu Ridgeline handles that you can buy. They're like $118 a pair. But I think I can just build them with some scrap metal that I have laying around. We're also going to test out some Harbor Freight rock lights. I think will work perfect as some lighting underneath here. So yeah, let's get into the shop and get into this build. If you're new here, one thing I like to do on my channel is to build vehicle camping accessories in a much more affordable way. We have rooftop tents, awnings, hatch ladders, roof racks, hammock mounts. So after this video, you should definitely go check out some of my other builds. I got some cool stuff on there. Also, let me know in the comments if you're one of those that has no need for what I'm building, but still watched the video and enjoyed it. I really appreciate the support from you guys. Let's get to it. All right, so I don't have any dimensions to go by. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the width of my hand and the size of the light to try to come up with a custom handle. So we're going to be using some cardboard aided design. So I'm just going to cut up a bunch of pieces of cardboard and see if I can come up with a template that we can transfer over to our metal and kind of go from there. So yeah, let's get started. What I think I want to do is I want the bottom of the handle kind of V's up, but I want the bottom of the handle to be as wide as my hand is. A little wider than that. So that's about 3.5 inches. I think I want this thing to be about 2 1/4. We'll do 2 1/8. That seems about right to me. So I'm going to draw some square lines here. And then to get my angle out, I think I'm just going to measure out 1 inch the top. We'll just draw a line in between those. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna go with. This is 3.5 inches by 2 1/8 up. And then to get this angle, we just went over 1 inch here and here, down here. No math involved, no angles. So let's cut this out. There we go. Just wanted to bring this out here to see how it looked like proportionally. I think that doesn't look too big. It'll sit off just like that. And then we'll be able to bolt it in these 2 slots right here. I think that looks good. All right, we just cut out the front right here that's gonna hold our light. So now we're gonna move on to these side angled pieces right here. So let me show you how we're gonna do that. All right, using the same piece that we just cut from, I'm gonna draw a square line straight up. So that's square. Now we're just going to take the piece that we cut from, we're going to lay it on that edge. We'll mark off top of that. So now off this bottom corner, we're going to measure over right here, 3/4 of an inch. And then off of this top edge straight out, we're going to measure out 1 3/4 inches. There, and then we'll just tie these 2 together. Should have a shape just like that. So we need to cut out 2 of these and we can move on. All right, guys, we need to pause the build to talk about today's sponsor, Mobvoi. They've sent me the TicWatch Pro 5 to show you guys. This is their latest Android smartwatch. This thing is awesome. And now, I don't know about you, but I like to stay in shape. I like to either run or ride my mountain bike, and I'm motivated by the numbers. I really like to know how fast, how far, the durations of my rides. And this watch is packed full of all those features to collect that information and so much more. This watch has so many features and settings, it's hard to know where to start. It's super lightweight. We have fitness tracking, GPS, heart rate monitor. You can make payments with Google Wallet. You can answer phone calls and reply to text messages with the built-in speaker and microphone. It has an accelerometer, a barometer, a skin temperature sensor, heart rate sensor, compass. This thing is packed full of all kinds of tech. But for me, the most important thing about a watch is how heavy it is and how it feels on my wrist. If it's a heavy watch and bothers my wrist, I'm not gonna wear it at all. I was kind of worried about with a smartwatch. This is my first smartwatch to even test out. Right when I put it on, it really surprised me how lightweight it was and how nice it feels on my wrist. It feels no different than the watch that I'm used to. The other thing that's really important to me is the battery life. I do not want anything that has to be on a charger every single day or even every other day, to be honest with you. And I've been really impressed with how long this battery lasts. I'm getting 3 or 4 days of battery life, but that's just gonna depend on how much you use it. If you use a lot of fitness features and the GPS and all that, you're gonna go through the battery a lot quicker. One thing that helps the battery is it has a dual display. It has an ultra low battery display that just kind of shows you the bare essentials like your time, date, your steps, your heart rate, that type of thing. And then it has what I call the fancy watch face, which you can just press on the center and swap those out. But you can change all this around and you can make it time out at different times. It's so customizable, it's really awesome. You can also put it in what's called essential mode, which goes to a really ultra low power display, and it will go weeks without needing to be charged. It's really cool. But when I do need to charge it, it's only off my wrist, maybe like 30 minutes to an hour. It charges up extremely fast. Back on my wrist and I don't have to worry about it. The fitness features are really cool. It has so many different options, different activities that you can do. The other thing I really like to do is be able to quickly glance at any kind of notifications, the weather, any kind of events that I have in my calendar. I can just kind of quickly scroll through those in the morning. Just really like to be able to do that without having to grab my phone and all that. So yeah, I'm definitely enjoying the features of this watch. I'll have a link to them in the description below if you're looking for an affordable fitness watch. Thank you, my boy, for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to the build. I'm gonna double check. It's 1 3/4 at the top, right at 3/4 at the bottom. All right, so these should be exactly the same. You can trim them up if one's a little bit bigger than the other, but try to get them as close as possible. But now that we have these, we can bring this guy back, and we're gonna have the short end at the bottom and the square edges along these sides here. Just like that. Now that we have this, we can make the flange that will bolt to the actual roof rack. So let me show you what we're gonna do there. Get my painter's tape out. Just gonna tape these together for now. All right, so you should be able to bend it into this shape. Tape the insides as well if you want to. I was gonna use hot glue to put this together, but I think tape's gonna work a lot better. We can take it apart easier and transfer it to the steel. So it should look something like that after you bend it, kind of hold it in place. All right, so now that we have this shape, we're gonna come back to the cardboard and we're gonna cut a rectangle piece out of our cardboard that's the same width as the front of our handle here. The front is thinner than the sides. It's kind of an optical illusion. It looks like it all be the same width, but this is 2 1/8 and this is 2 3/8 here. So we're gonna cut 2 1/8 out of this and we'll go from there. All right, there we go. Double check, 2 1/8, 2 1/8. So now that we have this piece cut, we need a straight edge. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tape this level down. It's gonna be my straight edge. I'm gonna tape this down so it doesn't move. So we're just gonna take our new piece and butt it against our straight edge. And then don't worry too much about this angle. It's about a 45 degree or so. And then don't worry about the left side at all, because once we find this line, this angle here, we're just gonna make 2 of these pieces and it'll fit just fine. So we're gonna butt this piece up to that edge, and now these top edges all line up just right. So now we just gotta mark this angle right here. Here we go. Now that we have this angle, I'm going to cut this piece out about 5 inches long or so. I'm just going to transfer this over to my other piece. Get this out of our way now. So now, all right, so these pieces will go right here. And then if you go from 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional, you'll see it kind of flatten out across the top. Just like that. How cool is that? Kind of like origami. So now I'm going to shape up this piece, these 2 pieces, to kind of a shape that I like. Do something like that. We'll have bolt holes like right here. I'll cut this out, transfer it to this side, and then that'll be our template. We can transfer straight over to our steel. That's going to look really good. All right, so this is the template that we just cut out, and then this is our first prototype. This is what we're going for. I went ahead and did this off camera so I'd know what I was talking about when it came to it. There's definitely an order of operation that you need to go in to make all this happen. But yeah, I think this turned out really good. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my cardboard pieces, we're gonna transfer them over to our steel. This is a 16 gauge steel. So I'll get it all marked out and then I'll show you what we gotta do from there. All right, we are ready for metal. Got our template. We're gonna end up taking it apart so that we can mark on these angles because those will be our bend lines. You'll see that as we go. I'll move these out of the way. Trace this out on my steel. So now we're going to cut along the outside, and then these inside lines will be our bend lines. All right, two things I'm going to do to this before I cut. I'm going to add a 1/2 inch tab to the top of this. It's going to be bent over to add like a little lip. So it'll be a little nicer to hold on to. And then the other thing is right here for these tabs right here, I'm going to cut these a little bit big. I'm going to leave some room for error. I could shape these up later after I make my bends. But I want to see what happens when I make my bend, see if everything's going to end up straight like we want it to. So yeah, let's get this thing cut out. This is one of my least favorite ways to cut metal, but it does work. So I realized that it'll be easier to go ahead and cut out like a rectangle here before we bend. It'll be nearly impossible afterwards. So I'm just gonna measure out a rectangle, kind of the size of this oval, and we'll transfer that to our piece, and then we'll do our bends after that. All right, so I'm going to be using my vise to make these bends. I cleaned up my lines on the front and I also transferred them to the back because we might have to use the back side to do some of these bends. So the way that you can do this is just put the piece in your vise, line it up on the line, and then just use a hammer to tap it over until you get to the right angle. But I'm not going to do this. I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to be using this little guy. I'm not sure if this exists in the world already, but I invented it for my shop. This is basically just a little mini press brake for your vise. This can slide kind of over left and right, which is nice. This is a little test piece. This is 3/16, which I thought was pretty impressive. So yeah, I'm going to put this in here and see if we can get this bent using my little mini vise press brake. So I'm just going to put it right up on that line. I'm going to slowly bend. I'm going to switch sides frequently to make sure I get the right angle. So let's try this thing out. All right, here it goes. All right, it's enough for now. I'll switch to the other side. Stop there. All right, I think this looks pretty good. The angles are pretty consistent on each side. I should have mentioned that there is an order of operation. We're going to do the inside bends first, and then we'll move to the outside, and then this part across the top will be the last bend. So this looks good. Let's do these pieces right here. Now for our bends here and here, you'll know when you're done because this thing will sit flat, so we're not quite there yet. All right, now we're done. Lays perfectly flat. Now we can move on to this last piece up here. All right, for this last bend, I've removed my little press brake. I'm just gonna insert it in the vise right on the line. And I'm just gonna have to use a hammer to tap it around because the little press brake thing it's not wide enough really to do this. So it'll be interesting since I'm missing quite a bit of metal right here. So we'll try to keep this all nice and flat. This works best if you have a really big hammer. All right. A little bit more to go and we'll have it. All right, guys, I think this looks really good. All the angles are looking really nice. I just got to take off these little corners here, kind of match them to the angle of these guys this way. You can see how everything is really flat. We don't really need this extra material here, and here. We can cut this flat because the template that I made is really good. But if you were to do your bends and things weren't perfectly straight across, you could always just grind this down to where it's nice and flat. So yeah, that's what that's for. So yeah, let's go see how this looks on the vehicle. Oh, that looks awesome. I'm gonna drill some holes to mount it up, some holes for our light, get this thing painted. We'll be done. This thing is awesome. Love the way that's turning out. All right, that's perfect. Just got to get some hardware to install the light. While we're doing that, I can get this thing painted up. I wanted to show you guys the difference between the handle made with just my hammer and vise versus the ones that I made with my press brake thing. There's really not much of a difference. This is a little bit more dinged up, as you can see. But after it was sanded, it took care of most imperfections. But man, my little press brake thing that I used, that works so well, so much more civilized. This does exist in the world, by the way, which made me sad because I thought I'd finally invented something. But yeah, not much of a difference here. I'm going to be using Raptor truck bed coating that matches my roof rack, and that's really going to hide any kind of imperfections that you have. So yeah, let's get these painted up and get this project finished. Got them all primed up. I think they look really good. I'm gonna scuff them up and then hit them with some Raptor truck bed liner. All right, guys, check these out. Love the finish from that Raptor liner. Now all we gotta do is install the rock light in the back of these and we can go test these out. Man, that looks awesome. That's what the back looks like. Really like how low profile those lights are. All right, we got these two done. Let's go test them out. I'm just gonna feed the wire through there so it's out of my way. All right, guys, check it out. Man, it looks so good. I'm actually really impressed with the Raptor truck bed coating. You know, this is over a year old, and there's not really much difference between the coatings. It matches up perfectly. Still got a little bit of room back here to use it as a handle, even though the light's back there. But man, that looks so good. It's time to test out the little Harbor Freight rock light, see how bright that is. All right, let's try to get these installed before it gets too dark. All right, I got the handles installed. I got the lights wired up to the aux beam switch panel inside. I wanted to wait until it was pitch black dark so we can get a really good idea how bright these lights are. I also adjusted the camera settings so that it would be more true to what my eyes are seeing. So let's test these lights out. Turn the phone off. Boom. Man, that is so bright. I'm not sure how these compare to like rigid industry lights, but I'm really impressed with this. Like for a Harbor Freight rock light, that's a lot of light. This is perfect for that. I definitely want to get a third one for the back because it kind of falls off pretty quick back there. But I am super happy with this. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Let me know in the comments if you stayed to the very end. Really love how these handles turned out. The light is so much brighter than I expected, you know, just being $30 Harbor Freight rock lights. This is just going to be an awesome new addition to the setup. Really happy about it. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks Mob Boy for sponsoring this video. And we'll see you guys in the next one. And I love these lights.